Yo, what's happening, people? Okay, so today I want to talk about Ariana Grande's new album. It's called Positions, her sixth studio album, I believe. AG6 came out just a few days ago as I'm recording this message. Positions was also a single that got released, I think about a week and a half ago-ish. And pretty cool single. I did the reaction video to that. If you want to check that out, that'd be great. But for today, for now, let's talk about the album. The 14 songs on this album, 14 songs and 41 minutes, released in 2020. Ariana Grande, AG6. Let's get into this. So, Positions, as you might imagine, is about positions. It is pretty much about positions. It's in the title. It is a lot to do with like sex, relationships, love, that whole thing. That's pretty much the entire album. So that's the main theme throughout the album, that sort of stuff. And my thing about this album is that I feel like individually the songs are great, right? Positions was a cool song when I listened to it, when I did reaction, I really liked the song. And individually, I feel like the songs are all really cool songs. But putting them all together in the way that they are on this album as a collection of songs, it feels less like an album and more like a bunch of singles put together. And I'm not sure entirely why that is, because he doesn't necessarily do anything, wrong. It just doesn't feel complete, for me. I feel like it just feels like there's something missing. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I have a few guesses of what it might be, but I'm not sure what that is. And perhaps some of the Ariana Grande super hardcore fans out there can let me know if I'm maybe just overthinking it, or if I've just missed something, or that's that whole thing. Because when I think of Ariana Grande, I've listened to, I think, a couple of her albums before, and maybe heard a few of her singles and stuff like that. But I think that Ariana Grande, I feel like, she's a boss lady, she's in charge. I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it, that sort of thing. She feels to me like she's somebody who's kind of headstrong, knows what she wants out of life, and goes for the things that she wants, that sort of stuff. I don't really get that impression from this album. And that's not to say that she could only ever be the boss lady. Of course, people are more than one thing, and people can be weak, they could be strong, and everyone has different sides and different aspects of their life, where sometimes they're got it all together, other times everything just falls apart. And as an artist, you're allowed to express all sides of yourself, and that's fine. The thing is, though, I'm not sure that was the intention to come across that way. Like, I feel like it was supposed to come across as this, sort of sexual liberation album, female sexual empowerment, talking about sexual desires, talking about how she wants to be sexually with her partner, and things like that. And I feel like it was supposed to be like this empowering sexual energy type of album. I just don't feel that's what necessarily comes across. And again, maybe I missed something, maybe. But for me, it just felt like it was more submissive. It felt like, and when I say she, by the way, I realize that artists don't necessarily talk about themselves in their songs. Sometimes they talk about themselves, sometimes they talk about other people, but they say me, I, and everything else. So she may not be talking about herself, might be talking about somebody else. But whoever she's talking about throughout this album, it feels like this is a person who's in a relationship that they think is going well, but might actually be going horribly. That's the impression I get. I get the impression that somebody, this lady she's talking about, is in a relationship that is perhaps manipulative, possibly even abusive, and they don't necessarily realize that. That's what I get. I don't get the whole empowerment thing, which what I think she was trying to do. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe she was trying to come across as submissive, maybe, but I think she was trying to come across as empowering, and it comes across as submissive. And I feel like that's where it kind of doesn't quite fall together for me. So, for example, there's a song on the album called 6:30, being down like 6:30, she talks about. And the thing that she mentions in this song is that in the first verse, she talks about how she's impatient. And the next verse, she talks about he's possessive and crazy. And it's kind of like that's just mentioned and nothing really comes with that. But I'm thinking, like, that's kind of a problem, right? That's a bit of an issue. That's not a throwaway statement. That's, you need to talk about that. You need to maybe sort that sort of thing out. If you've noticed that, then there's kind of if you're impatient and he's possessive and crazy, there's a major problem there that isn't necessarily being addressed. It's just kind of brushed upon, and then that's it. But apparently they go together. They're down like 6:30, the two hands down, which, by the way, shout out to genius.com. I had to look that one up, but that's what that means. The two hands on the clock both pointing down 6:30. They're down like 6:30, so they go together, but it feels like there's issues there that neither of them are really addressing, so, and I kind of like the feeling I get through a lot of the album, even the song Possessions, which is a cool song when I listened to it, but I listened again as part of the album. She's talking about, I'm switching up positions for you. I'm in the kitchen, I'm in the bedroom, I meet your mama, we have the sexy time, all that kind of stuff. She's talking about all the things that she does. What does he do? What exactly is he doing? We don't really get that. And look, you don't have to talk about these things if you don't want to. Again, as a creative, she can talk about anything she wants to talk about. She can talk about this bit, she can talk about that bit, leave out this bit, leave out that bit. That's entirely, I'm not telling her what she should or shouldn't do. That's not my place to say. What I'm saying is how I felt to listen to it. The feelings that I got after listening to this whole album from beginning to end. I felt like it was coming across as submissive, but I get the impression it wasn't supposed to. We do get a little bit of an inkling of what he might be doing, though. Towards the end of the song, there's a POV, well, not even towards the end, it's at the end of the song, a song called POV, where she's talking about seeing herself the way he sees her, because she wants to trust herself the way that he trusts her, and no one loves her like he does. So apparently he does love her, he does trust her, he is, I suppose, a good guy throughout all their problems and everything else. He is ultimately a good guy and somebody who she feels is worth all these things. But that's really the only kind of inkling we get of that. Everything else is like, what she's gonna do for him, having a sexy time, her pussy's designed for this guy, I want you to touch my hair, I don't normally, but I'll allow it in this case. That's a nice song, by the way, My Hair. I actually really like that song. It's just a really nice, cool song. Really has that nice kind of soul, old school kind of soul R&B feel to it, so that's a really cool song. And then there's another song where she's at Safety Net, where she's talking about they're falling for this guy with no safety net, where I think she means that he's got all these nice words, he said all these nice things, so she's falling for this guy with no safety net, so she feels like she can trust him, but maybe not fully, or feels like she wants to trust him but isn't quite there yet. So that's the impression I got from that song, that she's falling for this guy with no safety net. There's nothing to catch. If it all goes wrong, it all goes wrong. There's nothing to fall back on. Literally, there's no safety net. So she feels that she needs to be able to trust this guy, but maybe isn't quite sure that she can just yet, but is really hoping that he is the one. And I guess by the end of it, perhaps he is the one. Point of view seems to make it seem like he is the guy for her, but there's just a lot of other things in there where it's like, But yeah, that's really just the impression I got of the whole album. It's not a terrible album. It just felt to me personally like it's an incomplete album. Like there's things happening that aren't really being discussed. And again, you don't have to, but for me, that's how it felt. And perhaps that's the reason why it feels less of an album and more of just a collection of singles that on their own, they're fine, but you put them all together, I'm just kind of like, okay, but what about this? What about that? What happens here? What did he do there? What's going on here? It feels like there's that parts missing in this story. Like imagine that you're reading a book and there's pages missing. That's kind of what it feels like. I'm just kind of wondering what else is happening. What's going on this bit? So maybe that was the intention. Maybe that's exactly what Ms. Grande wanted to do. Maybe she wanted to pull out something where it does kind of skip around a little bit. Maybe it's just, I'm not personally convinced that was the intention, and maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe because I have this image of Ariana Grande as kind of boss lady, that now that I'm listening to this album, where it doesn't come across as that, it's like, no, did she really? Maybe I'm projecting my own kind of self biases on there. But yeah, it just feels like there's maybe like a couple of songs, like 2-3 songs, or maybe things added to songs that could have just like really filled it out and fleshed it out a bit more, but it is what it is. So is it a banger or is it a wanger? Right, so yeah, individually they're all cool songs or positions. My Hair, all of them. 34, 35 was interesting. I don't think she needed to explain what 34, 35 added up to. I think we could have figured it out, but she does very clearly say what it adds up to and what that means, and it's kind of like, all right, well, I kind of got it now. I really get it. Okay, that's the image I have of Ariana Grande right now. But anyway, Hey, you put it out there, Miss G. You put it out there. But yes, individually, I feel like the songs are really cool. But as an album, as together as a collection of songs, I feel like it is missing that. And maybe not. It's not even a thing that I think it's missing. Maybe again, I could be projecting, but it does feel like it's missing that. So banger, wanger. I'm gonna go in the middle and call it a hanger. It's just like hanging somewhere in the middle. It's definitely not a wanger because wanger's like terrible. You know, wanger's like all the way down there. But banger, I feel like a banger really has to be like that. It's just like it. That everything about it pops. Everything comes together and it just pops. And I just feel like this album doesn't quite do that. You know, the songs are cool, but together it doesn't quite, you know, on their own they're great, but together it doesn't quite, you know. So for me, this is a hanger. It just hangs in the middle. You know, it's not great, but it's definitely not terrible. So it's in the middle. I'm going to go with Hanger for Positions by Ariana Grande. But let me know what you think. Is it a banger for you, or is it a wanger for you? Or you're like myself and you think it's a hanger? You know, let me know. But yeah, and maybe I did miss something. If you're an Ariana Grande super fan and I've just missed a whole bunch of stuff, then yeah, let me know and I can look into that. But yeah, like, subscribe. If you've got any suggestions or recommendations, let me know. But that's going to be it for the minute. So until whenever, if ever, peace.